Hi guys, it's Becky, and I wanted to make some earrings today. I have had in the last few days, I've had like a really like just a big slump in my creativity. I was staring at beads, not knowing what to make with them, and just kind of not able to actually get like my juices flowing, and ideas weren't coming to me, and I was just a little bit disappointed. And because it's one of those things that I count on when I'm having some chaotic time in my life and when I'm having some stress, it I count on being able to sit down with some beads and beat it out. As we've talked about before, it's such a great stress relief for me. It's such a great way to like make order out of chaos and make sense of everything. So I sat down yesterday. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this. No pressure, no camera, nothing. I'm going to make some earrings because that's what really allows me to feel that zen of creation, that like pulling things together and look, I've made something out of it. So I made just one single of each of the pairs, and I'm going to make the second one with y'all so that we can do this together, because I don't know if you guys need some of this magic, making magic or something, or if you just want to sit with me while we put some things together and have, a little bit of order out of chaos, that would be great. But yeah, so I did the first ones already, and so I've got an example to show you before we start, and then we'll go through and I'll show you how to make all of them. And I just want to show you what I made with them and where I got my bits and bobs from. So the first one is going to be this one with some ornament charms and some of these gemstones and a couple of these beads. And all of this came out of, I don't know if you watched the unboxing of it, but I got one of the bundles from the Bead Box Bargains site, and it was the Cozy Christmas bundle. So like all of the beads from that came from there. There were these carnelian gemstones. I forget what this one was. It's fine, but it's the yellow one from there. And then there were these gold drucks that I used. These little beads here. These ornament charms. I know for a fact they still have some of these on their site if you wanted to get some. And then these little 3mm green rondelles. So I pulled all of that stuff out already and put it up over here so that we can make this. And then I grabbed some stuff out of the Softflex Gingerbread kit. These adorable gingerbread house tiara cast charms that came in there. I think actually this boho bead wasn't in the Softflex kit. It was from a different kit, so it wasn't all completely from this the gingerbread kit. And actually these red beads up here on the top came from the Dollar Bead Box. There were these red drucks that came out of that. So this was kind of a mishmash of like some old design kit. It was probably a Softflex design kit with these red ones, or this green boho bead. But I wanted to just make red and green. We're making Christmas earrings. That's the theme. So I did that. This next one that I'm going to be making with y'all, this did come out of the Softflex design kit. This red boho bead was part of that. And then we also had our little gingerbread man charms, and then these green squares and these rondelles, and the garnet Softflex wire to be able to make that with. So that all came in the Softflex design kit. And then this one was, I pulled some beads out of the Dollar Bead Box. This was the November one. And I just wanted to make like an icicle, Christmassy icicle kind of earring on that. So we'll go over that in detail when we get to it. And then the last one is a Christmas wreath ornament. And with this one, I mean, it's not, it can be an ornament if you want, but I'm going to be wearing it as earrings. I'm going to make a second pair. And for this, there was also on the Bargain Bead Box site, or Bead Box Bargain site, they had these bicone mixes. And I grabbed these. These were all in my unboxing for that tutorial. I showed them all at the same time. I just pulled that out so that I could have some random bicones that I could wire wrap onto a hoop and turn into a wreath. So we'll get to that one. And finally, a little Christmas tree made out of craft wire. So we'll get to all of those. Let me go over my materials. Again, I had some beads from the Bead Box Bargains bundle and charms. We had some beads from the Softflex Gingerbread Design kit. We had beads from the Dollar Bead Box, and then some other beads that were also from Bead Box Bargains over here. I am going to be using some 22 gauge and 20 gauge wire in different colors. I've got 22 gauge gold, some 22 gauge in silver, and then for my Christmas tree, I have some green 22 gauge wire that I'm going to be using for that. And then I've also got some 26 gauge wire, and this is what I'm going to be using to wrap my bicones onto my little hoop that I'm going to make out of the 20 gauge wire. So that's the wires that we're using for tools. I've got my chain nose pliers, I've got some flush cutters, I've got my round nose pliers, and because I am going to be doing some crimping, I've got my magical crimper. I've also got these flat nose pliers, which I'm going to be using for spirals because that's how you make Christmas trees. Spoiler alert. That's what we're going to be doing with that. So let's start with the easiest ones now that we've got our materials all laid out and what we're doing. And so the easiest ones are these ones where you're just making a beaded link basically and attaching a charm to it with some wire. So you've got a charm, you've got a couple of beads that you're going to make a link out of, and then you've got an ear wire on the top. And for that, I've got my 22 gauge wire here. So about 2 inches from the top. I've got about 6.5 inches. It could be a little less, that's fine. But about 2 inches from the end, I'm going to make a little bend because that centers your loop when you make that bend first. You can always bend it afterwards if you'd like, but I find it is usually a little wonky if you do it afterwards. And because for wire wrap loops, I like the consistency of size that I get by using my 6-step bill making pliers, I'm going to use those. You can use round nose pliers if you wanted to for that. That's fine. Just remember where on the barrel you're doing it. A lot of times people will leave a mark if they're using that as to where they want to wrap from. So after I make my little bend, I'm going to put this on here and I'm going to use the second loop. And I'm going to pull it all the way around. And before I wrap it to close it, I'm going to attach my little house charm. Right there on the end. I'm going to hold my loop with my pliers. I'll just use my fingers because this is a nice dead soft wire. I'm just going to wrap that around about 3 times. Once it's wrapped, I'm going to clip off my excess. And if it's a little sticky outy, you can use your pliers to flatten it. This one's fine right now as it is. And I'm just going to stack my beads on here. This would work better if I could find the bead hole. Oh, wait, that's not the way I wanted to do it. All right, here we go. So yeah, having some time to just sit and create It's really helpful sometimes for me. What do you guys do when you get in a slump? Is there a trick that you use to pull it all back, to get back into the swing of things? Do you just have to let it sit for a while and just wait and do other things in the meantime? Or is there something where if you're like, you know what, if you build it, they will come. So you sit down and you start creating anyway, and whatever happens, happens. And you don't have to be mad at yourself if it's not perfect. You're just going to be doing something, doing the act of creating. Let me know what works for you guys when you have your slumps like that. All right, and so I made this loop exactly the same way as the other, except I immediately wrapped it without attaching anything to it, which is what I usually do. I'm very good at forgetting to attach things to my loops when I do wrapped loops. And then we can slide our little ear wire on here. And now we have a pair of gingerbread house earrings. All right, so the second one, it's going to be very, very like the first, except we're going to stack our links, and we're going to have our charms attached to both of these links when we do that. So we're going to start with our bottom one, where I've got my carnelian and these two gold drucks. And I wanted the red charm for that one. And this one I've got the yellow and green on that side. And I've got two lengths of wire for this. So let's start with this one. I'm going to get myself a little wrapped loop on this end. Ooh. That might be a little bit on the short side, but that is fine because I can use my pliers to help close it. If I don't have the leverage with my finger, because that's what sometimes happens. There we go. So I am running out of leverage with my finger because the wire is shorter, so I can just use my pliers I can try to use my pliers anyway to push the end of this around a couple more times. There we go. Now I have my 3 wraps. Alright, so now I can put on my druck, my carnelian round, and my druck. And these will be dangly and jangly. For this one, let's see, how did I figure out how I wanted my loops to go? Okay, I think these were going opposite directions, not the same directions for my loops. You can twist your loops afterwards if you want to. So for my second loop, I bend over the top to leave some space for wrapping. And I really could have gone a lot further down my my little bar there for this beginning one. But that's okay, because we're just making stuff. We're just making earrings. And one of the reasons I like earrings is because they are a small project. They are kind of a low stakes project. You can start over anytime. It doesn't take that much materials. It doesn't take that much time. And you can have yourself, after, 10, 20 minutes, you can have yourself a little wearable piece of art. It'll take you through the day, through the season. All right, let's get a little further down here on this one. So we've got room for wrapping. All right, now this one, I'm going to be looping two things onto it. I'm going to be looping my this, my charm, and then this link. And if you need to readjust it, the first like 3 times that I put this on here, my charm was facing backwards the other way. So if you have to readjust it when you do it before you close it. Just make sure it lays right, or lays the way that you want it to. If you use a double-sided charm, you don't have to worry about this, but this is not double-sided. It's got a clear front side and back side to it. All right. There we go. See how much more easy that is when you don't have to use your pliers to wrap? So much easier. There we go. Now I've got my little dark green crystal rondelles. Why are you? Apparently I'm really bad at finding holes today. So maybe we're gonna stick with the beadwork. We'll see though. So that's where we're at with that. And now I am going to bend this one over so that I can make another loop up here for my ear wire to go through. Oh. And I am not worrying about perfection with this. That's a little bit messier than I did with the other one. And I'm gonna just be okay with that because I'm not doing this as an exercise in perfection. I am doing this as an exercise in making something, anything, and getting that creativity going. So sometimes that helps me just to be able to say, you know what, it's okay if it's not perfect. Not everything is perfect. Perfect is the enemy of good. You know what I mean? If you spend all your time worrying about perfection, sometimes you don't get anything done. And then I've got my jangly, dangly ornament earrings. Okay, now this next one is using some beading wire, and this one uses the beading wire that came in the Softflex Design kit. And where's my, there, it was right here. I definitely had it right here. It's this garnet color. It's a nice deep dark red color. It's kind of a cool red, like a burgundy color. And I'm just going to cut off enough to be able to loop it around a little bit. And I always find uses for my extra soft flex, so I'm okay with cutting a little extra off on this. All right, so for this guy, I forgot to mention that I'm also using a little head pin for him because he's drilled right from here in the middle of the legs up through the top of his head. So the head pin means that I can make him into a little charm or a little dangle. And I'm just sliding that head pin right there, right up there, between his itty bitty legs. Right. I'm gonna just give it a little bit of an angle here at the top of him. I'm measuring with the side of my finger, but if you want to use a measuring thing, I'll usually leave a centimeter, like from there to there. And that's about the same length as the side of my finger. And I just learned where to measure from through trial and error with practice. Your finger might be totally different from mine, and that just went flying. Check, see if it's in my coffee. Nope, that's fine. All right, now for this one, I am going to go grab my round nose pliers, because for simple loops, I prefer round nose pliers because I can adjust my loop as I go. I want this to be a nice tight loop, something that the wire isn't going to be escaping from. All right, so now I'm going to take my my beading wire, and I'm going to just slide this guy right down into the middle of it, like so. And then I've got these spacers, these like whirly spacers that were in the bead mix. These green cube beads that were also in the bead mix. And then this, I believe, was on the bead strand. I might be mistaken because I forgot already what was in what from my unboxing. I'll put a link to my unboxing below so that you can see where all of these things came from. And like I said, these came from a totally different kit. The green ones. But I threw them into my box, and so they were just sitting there when I was trying to plan out my earrings, and I was like, you know what, I want the green ones. That's what I wanted for those. So I don't know if you guys do that. You take some extra beads that you have from something else and you add them to one of your kits or your things to just, because they go so well with it, right? Okay, now this is the one that I had the least amount of zen with. It was this part, because these boho beads are hollow on the inside. So the wire does not go straight through to the end. Oh, there we go. I said that, but then it doesn't go straight through to the end. It gets caught like on the lip on the inside, and it doesn't go through, and you have to like kind of angle it, and it's maddening, and I was like just angry about it. And you know what, it's coming through just fine right now on camera, but I was struggling with this yesterday when I was making these. Taking one of these and just having it be a little bit longer than the other side, because I'm going to be bending one of these ends back toward the other. There we go. So now I've got these two there like that. I'm going to pull out some crimp tubes. Again, I like the Softflex crimp tubes. They are not made out of brass, so they do not shatter on you when you are crimping. That's like a real big deal for me, because there's so many times that I've used other crimp tubes and they just broke apart on me, either while I was crimping or afterwards, and it's just frustrating to have things break while you're trying to make things. All right, so I'm snugging it in pretty tight. You can see on the other one. And I'm going to use my magical crimpers. And if you haven't used magical crimpers, they're my favorite way of crimping, because they make a nice little rounded bead out of your crimp, so you don't have to use crimp covers or anything like that. because it has this round concavity on the inside of it. So when you smush it flat like this, it makes a little ravioli and you've got these sharp edges. But then if you rotate it, the round concavity, as you smush it, flattens out those, well, not flattens out, kind of rounds out those edges, I should say, so that you end up with more of a bead. And this just needs a little bit more rounding out. That wasn't finished. There we go. So it's nice and round and it is very secure. And do you know what I did? I forgot to put my loop back through for the top of this. So you know what's great about making mistakes? If you make one, you can just start over and then boom, it's like that mistake never happened. So here I am, ready to bend this back and put it through my crimp tube so that I can make a little loop for, if I can get this to go through, there we go. So I can make a little loop for my, can you hear Ellen? She's singing for y'all. What are you singing, Ellen? Is it the I'm so sad mom's not petting me right now song? I spent like all day petting her yesterday. The problem with that is that then she gets used to it and she's like, you're not petting me anymore. It must mean you don't love me. But I do, sweetheart. I do. All right, so there we go. That's about the right size. I like to compare it with the other one so that I can, you know, make sure they're the same size. Now I'm going to do my raviolis and turn it into a meatball. Yeah, you can always start over or just give up, you know, or start over or try again until you figure out why it's not working and fix it. It's me, I'm the problem. All right, so now I've got my ends snipped off. I have my wire cut, and I just need to attach my ear wire, and this one's done. It's like it never happened. Magic. That is the magic of starting over. They're just my happy little guys. Okay, now this one's going to be a little bit funner because we are going to make an icicle like this. And I wanted to use these spike beads that came in that box. And I also wanted to use these drops. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen an icicle before, but they usually start with a narrow point at the bottom and a thicker part up at the top. And it's just because of physics. If you start with a narrow part on top and then the water's on the bottom, then your icicle is going to fall off. It's not going to hold on. But sometimes they curve in and out. Sometimes they have little bumps and bulges. And that's what we're going to be mimicking a little bit with our other beads as we go up along to the top. So I'm going to start with my little spike, and I've got about, let's see, this is 30 centimeters, which is about, let's see, if 4 inches is 10 centimeters, and that's 12 inches. Sorry, I'm just doing maths here. So about 1/3 of the way in, I'm going to make myself a little bend in my wire. Okay, so this is my bend. And then on the part where the longer part of my wire is, I'm going to go ahead and string my spike bead like that. So I've got my shorter end here on this side, and I've got my long end over here. And I'm just going to ignore my long end for now. And I'm going to bend with my thumb this over the top of this spike bead, my shorter end, just so it's bent over the top. And then right here in about the middle of my spike bead, if I turn it over so that I'm looking at it right down at the top, I'm going to make another little bend, a right angle bend, so that my wire is going straight up from there. See, so it's kind of like a coat hanger, like half of a coat hanger right there. Now what I'm going to do is string my other beads right here onto this short end. I'm going to start with my little square bead. It's kind of cuboid-ish. It's not actually square. I forget what the actual shape was for this, but it's angular. And then my drop with the narrow end down and the fat bottom bead, the fat bottom pointing up. And then we've got these pearls, and I'm just going to grab a pearl and put it right on the very, very top of this. And then here at the top, I am going to make a little wrapped loop, and I'm going to give myself some space for wrapping. I'm going to sing my dog a song real quick. Why are you whining, Ellen? Are you laying too far away? Why are you whining, Ellen? You could move, you've got 4 legs. She could be the solution to her problem, but she doesn't want to get up and come over here. She's just going to lay there and be sad about it. All right, and now you don't have to be particular or careful about this wrap because we're going to be wrapping over it when we get up to the top with the other part of our thing. So I'm just going to wrap a few times, and I'm not going to wrap close or anything like that because we're going to be wrapping over that. And if this slides off, you can put it back on. It'll be fine. We just wanted it here to measure out our spacing on all of these. And again, this doesn't have to be super tight in because we're going to, again, be wrapping around it. I'm just going to leave it. It's fine. All right, so this part is where it gets fun. So I'm pinching my bead here and the green bead together, and I am pushing this. Actually, let's have it go the other way. I'm going to go around so that it spins in the opposite direction as my twists from before. So I'm going to have it go around there and across my green bead. I'm going to pinch the wire and the green bead, have it go between those two. And let's see, I have 1, 2 complete circuits of my red bead. I'm going to pinch the red bead on that one, bring it around here, and then bring it up and across my other bead. Symmetry. And now I can wrap up towards my loop and then back down again because we are just going to have a nice fat wrap, and ending my wrapping in the back. Tuck my guy in here on the end. So these are super fun, Christmassy kind of earring with some little icicles, and you could use these for ornaments too if you wanted. But I'm going to have ornaments on my ears with this. And all of these beads were out of the Dollar Bead Box. go. So you got those. All right, now this is going to be super fun and probably the most time consuming one. It is my wreath ornament. And for this, you're going to want to look around and see what you can find that's about the size of the circle that you want. I have this little bead holder thing. This is what I'm going to be shaping my circle around when I do that. You can look around and see what you've got. If you want something smaller, if you want something larger. If you were to make an ornament for your tree, you might want a bigger one. Something like that. But I'm going to be using this smaller one for doing this, and so I'm going to pull off some 20 gauge wire, and I'm just straightening it out and warming it up with my fingers because I'm going to be making my loop, my little bead loop. I'm going to cut off about 8 inches. And I'm going to just make a little bend right here. And then I'm going to form this around here. One of the nice things about this is there's a little channel. If you loosen it up, there's a little channel that will help with forming this so that as it goes around, if you loosen the cap just a little bit, not a lot, just enough, so that as it goes around, it's not going to slide off. And then right here where it's bent around, or where it's bent up, for that one, I'm going to hold both of these. I'm just going to bend this back. And while it's still on here, I'm going to continue all the way around a couple of times. And then if you need to get it off, you can just unscrew that lid. That's why this makes a really great form for making these loops. So now I've got my circle, my little round hoop. If I want to, smooth it out a little bit, I can. I'm going to cut off my excess here. And one thing I did before I did the other is make my loop before I start wrapping it. So I'm going to want some room for wrapping up here. I can bend that over the top. Grab my, where did they go? They were underneath my wire. I found them. Grab my loop. But yeah, these are great for forming things around. Very useful for that. I mean, they hold beads too. I'm all about like multi-purpose tools. You know? All right, so now that I've got this, I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it around till it meets the other wrap. Oop, I'm almost there. All right, so now I've got a loop or a hoop. And you know what? If you don't want to form a hoop like this, you can use, if you've got a frame or something like that, you could use like a little beading frame or something else, like a little hoop, and you can wrap around that and make yourself a wreath if you don't want to form your own loops. That's fine. Store-bought is fine. This wire, and I'm just going to pull off an arm length, Like if I hold my spool to my chest and hold the end out in my fingers and I stretch my arm out, that's about an arm's length. That's about how much I'll need, I'm guessing. I pulled off a lot more for this one and I had a ton left over, so like this should be still more than enough. And I'm just going to go through and make sure there's no kinks. I'm drawing this through my fingers just to make sure that it is smooth. And then we're ready to go as soon as I get my beads out. And so this is just a bead mix. Like if you have any like red and green beads, you can do this. If you've got, these are all just 4mm bicones. So you could do this with round beads, you could do this with bicones, you could do this with gemstones. It would be a fantastic way if you've got just some random beads out there. Now I'm probably not going to be using these pink beads, so I'm going to just pull them out of the mix. They'd be great for like, what is it called? The holiday where everything's pink and red and Valentine's Day. They'd be great for Valentine's Day, but not so great for Christmas, I think. But most of these other colors of beads we're going to have on here. All right. All right, sorry, I had to take a break to give my dog a smooch on the top of her head and put a blanket on her so she could have a snoozle. All right, so I'm just taking, I'm bending this around the end of this, right there, and then my end, I'm gonna wrap like 3 times around here. 1, 2, 3. I'm wrapping over it, so this doesn't need to be neat and tidy. I just want to secure the end of my wire before I start wrapping my beads onto it. All right, so now that I've got this around here, up at the top, I am going to pick up, how did I do this? I started with 3 of them. I'm going to pick up 2 beads at a time. So I'm going to pick up 2 green beads. And these don't have to match because I'm doing it pretty randomly. And then I'm going to bend it right here so that it goes through my hoop, pinching my beads right where I want them to stay. Put them right here. Bend my wire up. And I'm always going to start from up here on the outside. And you're going to want to make sure when you do this that you're not getting kinks in your wire like I am. I'm just going to unkink this real quick. You don't want to bend this back and forth too much because it makes the wire brittle and then it will break. So I'm just being real gentle and hoping that that will be fine for getting my beads on here. All right, so now I've got my 2 on here. I've got this wrapped I'm not going all the way around the wire with it. I'm getting ready to wrap it around again, but I'm going to pick up 2 more beads for that. So I'm going to pick up a green bead and a red bead. So there's going to be more green beads than red beads in this. And I'm sort of doing it randomly, but sort of not randomly. The smooch was not enough for her. So it goes like that. And that's just how you go all the way around. You pick up a couple of beads, and I'm just going to do a couple more green ones. I'm going to do one of these opaque ones and maybe one of these light blue crystal ones. Like they're all these different colors of green. You've got like these sort of aqua colored ones, you've got the emerald green ones, you've got the opaque ones, you've got a couple that are real dark green, you've got some opalescent sort of color ones, you've got ones that are peridot colored. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so I'm just going to keep going like this all the way around. Let me see. The next one, I'm going to pick up a red, and like this one I did a green and then red. Now I'm going to do a red and then green. And I try to alternate it, but it's okay if you don't do the same alternating. Like if you've got, on this one, I've got 2 reds on the outside rather than some on the inside. I just want them to be around. They don't have to be perfectly evenly the same spaced. Oh, I forgot to pick up a green one. Let me pick up one of these emerald ones. Whoop, where are you going, buddy? Hold on. Where'd my emerald guy go? He fell off. That's weird. I mean, not too weird because I am not controlling the end of my wire very well. That's okay, because I'm just having fun making myself a little wreath. And you just keep going around like this, all the way around the wreath, just placing 2 beads, and then bringing your wire through and up to the top to start again, and place 2 more beads. So each time you pick up 2 beads, you can smoosh them up together so that you can pack them on a little bit further. And you're going to keep going all the way around. So when I have gotten all the way around here, I'll meet you back here and I'll show you how to finish this off. So I'm getting close to the end of it, but I wanted to tell you guys a little story while I'm doing it. And it was about when I was first starting to get into jewelry making. I accidentally bought some 26 gauge wire, thinking that that was what I was going to learn how to do, like proper wire wrapping on. And I got it and I'm like, what is this? It's so skinny. I can't do anything with it. None of these tutorials that I'm watching work. Everything is terrible. This is the worst. And like the thing is that 26 gauge wire, like I use it now that I've learned proper, you know, how to wire wrap. I use it for wrapping. It is useful in the right context. Like when I got it, I was like, I can't make rings or earrings or anything with like that with it. So learning how to use your materials is great. And like it's like so many other things where I thought I knew what I was supposed to be doing with things, and then I got these materials and I was like, this is useless. But it's not useless. It just wasn't being used in the right context, and it wasn't being used in the right place. So here I am near the end, and you notice there's a little bit of a space between this red one and the hook there. So I'm just going to add one last green up there, and I think I want to grab this one right here. Whoop, there we go. So I'm not adding a second one to this, it's just one. It's just so that I'm moving this so that it's in the right place. It's just so that it fills that in a little bit better. I'm going to still take my wire between these 2 ends and pull it up through here, and then wrap it around a couple of times around my wrap. Just so that I can make sure this end is secure. I'm going to do it one more time using my thumb to make sure that it goes between the 2 bicones. And I'm going to cut off my excess, tuck in my end, and attach an ear wire because this earring is done. You can see it's got a back and a front. You could add more beads if you wanted on the back and the front, but you shouldn't need it. I'm just going to tuck this And in, there we go. A little bit more. Where's my earwire? There it is. So I've got my Christmas wreath earrings. And this is a really, really fun project. Really fun thing to wear. And again, you could have these as ornaments. You can make a whole bunch of them and hang them up on your tree. If you wanted to, you could grab, if you've got some red ribbon, you could tie a little red bow around this part right here. I think that would look adorable. I don't have any red ribbon, so I'm not going to do that. Now that's just an idea to, you know, jazz it up a little bit more. Okay, and so that is, let's see, we did 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the 5th pair of earrings that I'm doing. The last one is going to be my Christmas tree. My little wire Christmas tree. And it's a pretty simple design. It's fairly minimal. And I added a little bead up here at the top. If you've got like teeny tiny star beads, you could use those. Maybe a little silver bicone or a gold one or something like that. Would be really cute up there. I just used one of these 3mm fire polish beads from the Dollar Bead Box for this. And I just grabbed one of these that has like the pink and green and all of those colors on it. It's very small, very shiny. But that's all I was doing with that. Just putting one of those on there. Let me put these away real quick, and I will grab out my green wire, and this is 22 gauge green craft wire. And it's gonna be super fun. And this is, if you guys like spirals, this is how we do Christmas trees, is we spiral. The fun kind of spiral, not the existential dread kind of spiral. Although you can do that too if you want. Nobody's stopping you. Existential dread and craft wire with Beki. Anyway, we're gonna have ourselves an entire like therapy session with this. I'm gonna pull off about, let's see, about 8 inches of craft wire. You might need more, might need less. I don't know that it really matters that much. All right, so up here at the top, I am going to want to make a wire wrapped loop up here. So I am going to bend this right here. Just give myself a little sharp thing. That's where I'm going to add my bead and my wire wrap loop, but I'm not going to do it until after I make my Christmas tree and my spiral. So to start my spiral, I'm going to grasp this right here where that loop is going, and I'm going to go all the way around there. And right here, keep going around. And at this point, I'm going to grab my chain nose pliers. And the secret to good spiraling is to go slow. Just pushing with my thumb. Holding onto my spiral. In a minute, it's going to be large enough that I can hold on to it with my flat nose pliers, because those are a little bit easier. Right now it's still a little bit on the small side, so my flat nose pliers would probably smush my angle bend up here at the top. But I'm going to keep going around until I have, let's see, how many twirls did I do on this? I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spirals. something like that. Move these guys out of the way. So that's 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th time around. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, number 5. I'm going to want to go all the way around on my 6th go around. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's all the way to here, right before we do the 7th. And here, you'll notice we have it curl inward a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this with my fingers and I'm going to curl this in here. And I'm going to cut right there and use this to just do a little spiral right here. A little awkward and weird. That's fine. All right, so now this is the fun part. Now I just kind of pull each of these rounds out a little bit. I'm holding onto this, but I'm pulling the wire. I want this one to go. Okay. And I can adjust it as needed. This one's a little bit on the wide side. So is this one. There we go. Perfect. All right, so now I'm going to add my bead on top from my Christmas tree. Then I'm going to make myself a wire wrapped loop right up here so I can hook on my ear wire. This is a little on the short side, so I'm probably going to need to use my pliers to wrap this like I did before. That's okay, because I know how to do that. There we go. So this is really lightweight, really minimalist, really cute. Where's my other ear wire? There it is. All right, so that is my 6th pair of Christmas earrings that I made. Let's go over them again. So I've got my Christmas trees, I've got my wreaths, I've got my icicles, I've got my gingerbread men, and I just lost my ear wire off this one. Let's close that up a little bit better. There we go. Gingerbread men's. I've got my gingerbread houses, my dangles, and I've got my ornaments, my jangly dangly ornaments. And I am feeling pretty good about this. After just being frustrated with not having any creativity, being able to like sit down and make some stuff and have it come together and for my ideas to work, this really helped for me. And I hope it helps with you guys if you're having some pre-holiday anxiety and things just aren't going well for you. I hope you can sit down and maybe just breathe a little bit, get some Zen creativity going, make some things that make you happy. And I hope that this brings you a little bit of joy in a hectic season. And thank you very much for hanging out with me. And if you like what you see, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. See you later. Bye.